if you'd like us to do all of our business, and then we can do a major discussion, which is agenda item number G, for Bobby Roberts' request to be on the agenda.
No, I was questioning on other items down at the bottom of
Okay,
your
do you
business.
have-
So if we can have a comment during that time, can we make it then instead of?
Yes, you
That was just for clarification for other people.
All right.
And then one other comment I have, I noticed that you guys have become quite regulars, and I appreciate your service. However, I just want to make it known that with the officers here is because of you guys. And there's lack of transparency, which leads to lack of trust. Lack
Yes.
of trust makes you guys fear the public who's supposed to trust you. And now you guys have called in the backbone to protect you guys when we're actually the ones who are asking for attention.
I called in the morning.
They were here before you. They were. They
Now
were
they're here to
called.
protect him.
And today, we received a couple credible threats, so they are here to protect everybody.
They received credible threats, he says? Oh,
They pulled in before, so it's lack of trust with the commissioners, lack of transparency.
so St. Mary's, they say they have received credible threats, and that's why the officers are here. Over there.
have the two of you commissioners had a chance to go.
So I hope everybody else will come on down.
Calendar. Are we ready to make a
I'll
motion?
go over the report, financial report, if that's okay.
Go for it.
All right, we received $21,000, $21,658 in deposit, from those deposit, $300 was donated.
This is going to get interesting after they get through all of the first part of it. At the very tail end, Bobby Rotter gets to ask questions about the fire.
$7,580 from Benewah County for several land sales from tax deeded parcels. We had $43,368 in expenditures. We purchased the Lexical Policy Manual software in the amount of $3,320. And III health insurance expenditure was a little higher compared to last month due to onboarding new employees. We received 62% of our budgeted income. Under other income, I also listed separately a Vista rebate, which we received in the amount of $2,370. Our interest income is at all high at 582% high. April interest was $2,106. The current rate is at 4.68%. Compared to last year, the interest was $86.41. The interest rate at the time was 0.41%. So the LTIP investment account is doing very well. We have received 89% of the committed funds compared to last year at 104%, which is higher than last year due to the insurance claim we had for the roof paper. We have spent 43% of the committed funds compared to last year for office expenses due to higher office supplies expenditures. On professional expenses, we have spent 130% of the committed fund compared to last year, 43% due to higher legal expenditures. The bond expenses, we have spent 11% of the committed funds. We've paid the annual administrative fee of $450, and the next principal payment is due in August. Capital expenses, we have spent 4% of the capital of the committed funds. We awarded 5 bunker gears in the amount of $14,500. Personnel expenses, we have spent 72% of the committed funds compared to last year's 61% due to higher physical and background expenditures. Payroll expenses, we have spent 44% of the committed funds compared to last year at 58%. Our expenses were lower since we didn't have the fire chief wages for 6 months. Operation and maintenance expenses, we have spent 55% of the committed funds compared to last year at 53%. Utility expenses, we have spent 78% of the committed funds compared to last year's 68% due to higher utility rates. On vehicle expenses, we have spent 56% of the committed funds compared to last year 36%, which is higher this year due to a lot more vehicle maintenance and repair. Our total overall expenditures at 47% compared to last year we were at 53%. We are within budget and maintaining our overall expenditures down by 6%. Do you have any questions for me regarding the financial report?
The capital said that we're at 4% and we just spent 14,000 on bunkers here.
We ordered. We haven't been invoiced yet, so once.
40,000 is fire.
I have no
Jason's on the phone. He's the head investigator.
Yeah, that's why I was asking.
We can move to the consent agenda.
He'll be out right away then.
Jason's
I'll
on
make the motion that we approve the consent calendar.
Oh, no, he just read from the report, the fire and investigation was closed after 3 days after the fire.
Yeah, it's not my job because it hasn't been released yet.
Lexipol policy manual.
Yeah, so, we have attended the webinars for starting the lexical process, and we are actually waiting on the agency manager working on us to start that process.
So would you be on board of all the policies?
Trying very hard not to see that hand raised up.
During this section, you might go to comment.
That doesn't make sense, I just asked you about what's on the agenda, you stated yes.
During the Bobby Roder discussion.
I was not talking about Bobby Roder, I was talking about comments over the agenda.
You should have made the comment during the comment section.
That's what I asked. She did
Wow.
exactly what I asked you, and you stated that I could.
We're all waiting for the comment section.
We can't comment on stuff, but we don't hear what's going on.
Do you have the agenda in front of you?
I do have the agenda, and it says Lexipol policy manual. So that's why I asked you ahead of time, can we talk about it once we hear what's going on? How can we speak upon something if we have no idea what's going on
All
there?
right.
3 minutes.
3 minutes, timing. So with the Lexipol, did we not already purchase that before to have manuals made for this department?
Yeah.
So then our prices are going up with that, and I'm finding that you guys are not being financially responsible because we're throwing money out again at Lexipol. We've thrown out money with the chiefs coming in, the candidate chiefs, and we have to now gear up these are thousands of dollars that are coming out from the taxpayers' money. And then on top of that, you guys offered me $25,000 in hush money. So
Yep.
where's all this money that the taxpayers are paying going to? Policies that we've done before, gearing up everybody when we have gear that they can fit. If we need to buy a name tag, buy a name tag. It's not as expensive as the thousands of dollars when it needs to go into these trucks to be fixed so that they're properly ready at fire.
Yeah, yeah. So just so y'all know, she was offered $25,000 in hush money. She's not hushing.
Minutes up.
No, it's not.
Do you have any
still
other
have 2 minutes
comments, Derek?
What?
Please.
Well, if you're gonna lie and then get called out on it.
Yeah.
So
Let's
go.
go.
All right, I need to find out if she has any other comments on any of the other agenda
How can I
items at
know
this
when you're
time.
not talking about it?
Well,
So
that's
let's,
something
if
that
we
you
were talking about
probably
Trinity
should-
County Emergency Services MOU.
How
and
are
you
we
guys
supposed
talk
to
about
know
it
what
might
it
be
is
for a
until they say
question
it?
That I might need to bring up for clarification or offer a statement. Is that not what an open meeting is?
Well, we
Not
have
here.
a Public comment section, when we're doing our agenda, no, there are no public comments during the agenda.
But
I
how
give
do we
you-
get information without questions?
Why does she look so disdainful?
Open meeting, how do we not?
It's a really good question. Everybody wants to know.
Clarify what's going on.
Yes.
There's a question about the Lexipol again. I think the chief could probably address that.
All right.
Oh, I'm sure the chief can address it.
All right.
Marcel has a question.
It was really against the, why would we spend more money when we have money going out, but it's not going out in my eyes, in a responsible way. And it bases off of the Lexipol because we're spending more money on it when we spent money on Lexipol before.
We started out, how many years ago with Lexipol, 3-4 years ago or so? It stopped. We did not pursue it, we didn't finish it. So we had lots of other higher priority things in the way right now. So we came back and said, you know, our policies need to be reviewed thoroughly.
Absolutely.
So they wasted the money and didn't follow
Lexipol-
through,
Lexipol,
and now they're gonna
for
waste it
everybody's
again.
knowledge, it's a real good application for writing policies, procedures, and it keeps track of training. There's a lot to Lexipol. We got our foot in the water a little bit and decided this is good, but it takes a lot of time to do it. It takes a lot of effort to do it. So
That
we-
seems to be commonplace now because you've also put money towards the impact fees. We've spent thousands of dollars for
And
impact
that's
fees and then you
not
guys dropped the
either.
ball on that too.
That's not
Just my
wrong.
house is only lost when our trucks aren't working right.
And so this is my point of stating that I don't think you guys are being
We're a
financially
fireman, I know
responsible
either.
and you're willing to throw money and then not follow through.
Yeah.
When them guys were holding them hoses and you were walking up to them in the video asking if
All
they
right,
needed
all
stuff
right.
and you didn't bring it to them?
Derek?
I got it on film, dude, and it's going to come to you today.
All right,
Derek?
we need to
Derek.
take a break.
Come on.
No.
Right?
I think
I hope you
Marcel
feel
had
like
some
a turd.
legitimate questions about Lexington. As we're on the agenda, she needs to get this question answered. If you provide any more input other than that, fine, if not, let's move on to the next one.
Attorney's gonna tiptoe.
Hmm?
Attorney's gonna tiptoe because he knows I haven't been running it right.
All right. Kootenai County Emergency Services MOU.
The MOU with Kootenai County was expiring, or had expired, and Kootenai County no longer does.
That's the current fire chief.
Non-transport agencies. So there will be no MOU with Kootenai County at this time.
That's because you say that we're non-transport.
We're non-transport, we don't have any ambulance, we don't transport.
Do we need an MOU for the fire aspect of it? Not again,
Fire aspect, we have to segregate from the overall MOU, so we can pursue that, so we can have it excel. But as the MOU stands, MOUs with non-transport agencies.
So this would fall into the action on
Excuse, can you please explain to the crowd what an MOU is?
a memorandum of understanding for services provided.
Okay, thank you.
Not quite mutually.
It's a memorandum of mutual aid.
New business, any correspondence?
Of understanding.
Correspondence from my cramp insurance, the Idaho Board of Trustee approved the estimated premium amount for the upcoming year. Our estimated renewal premium is gonna be $12,306 for this year. Compared to last year, it was $10,701, so there's an increase in the premium for this coming year.
Not a signature page.
It's no signature page, just a letter notifying us of the premium change, and it's estimated, so it's not final yet.
So that's FYI.
Yes.
On to east side, nope, are we doing Jumpin' Dave?
Yes, that's going to be a Zoom, so I'm gonna log in.
We're gonna do a Zoom meeting with the chaplain about a chaplain program. When we get through most of this, it will be people being able to ask questions about the fire, and that's gonna be probably heated. I wish we had more people here. You guys can all come on down.
We're bringing on board a fire chaplain. Our firefighters in critical events of distress, just in everyday life, as well as we have contact with the community. So, Chaplain Dave's gonna come in, do a little presentation program.
I just have a super quick question about that. Is he from here or somewhere else as well?
Chaplain Dave is actually from the east side. From where?
East side, which is north of Harrison, before Harrison.
Is this gonna cost money?
No. Chaplains are critical for the welfare of our firefighters and also.
I dare say he doesn't care about the, yeah, no, say he doesn't care about the firefighters. For him.
Is not only a clergyman, but is also a firefighter. And related to the stresses and life challenges that firefighters are facing on a daily basis.
Can you hear me?
I have a question. It says chaplain,
Can you hear me?
and it says via Zoom.
Yeah, thanks.
I'm setting it up here.
This is video
Can you hear
program.
me now? Okay, I'm gonna turn you over to the public, okay?
We get to watch it on a laptop.
A very small laptop.
Seriously? So you people watching here are not going to be able to see it, but there is a, yeah, that's the chaplain. Oh my goodness. Hope they have a speaker, because that's not going to be loud enough for anybody.
Chaplain Dave, can you hear me? Okay, you are on.
Oh my goodness.
Hi, looks like you got a good turnout tonight. Hey, my name is Dave. I'm in with Eastside Fire in Harrison, Idaho. I'm a firefighter, EMT there, and I also do some chaplain work for our fire department, sheriff department, department of defense, and like in the Island Fire Department, just trying to help communities out with resources, as well as firefighters and their families. And so I recently came down to your community for the fire on Mother's Day and met some of you and some of your community members and realized probably a great deal of your resources and to incorporate some of the other possible resources that we could bring into the community. And so I was trying to remind you about that, and as well as your people, please, there that you guys really don't know some of those resources. Just maybe bring them down there to encourage you folks, maybe better serve the community. That's really all I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to do anything, take anything away from anybody. I just want to give back. I want to give as much as I can. And I'd answer any questions I have on that education. I've been a pastor for the last 25 years.
Can't even hear. They should have had speakers set up so people could hear it. Anyway, for everybody, that was a nice message from Chaplain Dave in Eastside. He's just saying he's offering some resources to our area.
Do you
There's Marcella.
know of an advocacy or representative group for firefighters?
In reference to what?
With the higher authorities and harassment, and how a firefighter can find and reach out to find advocates or representatives to help them through some of that?
Yes, that is very stressful.
But I've never dealt with any of those situations.
Oh, you're lucky.
You're talking about like with grievances or something like that along that line?
Yes, sir, and making sure like our higher ups abide by the policies too.
Well, that's what the commissioners are for, right? Just to make sure that they follow the policies that you have for the fire department, correct?
You would hope.
What if it is the commissioners?
Again, I'm not familiar with that, but I would think our own fire department, that's the way we operate. We operate by our SOPs, and then our board of commissioners are supposed to hold us accountable.
That's fantastic, must be nice.
When the issues the fire commissioners, that doesn't help.
Pastor, what type of services do you offer?
I can look around, windows, I can fix cars, I can unlock some folks, for some folks, I can cut firewood. There's not a whole lot that I can do. I try not to do weddings. They're not very fun for me. I can do funerals. And then I can just try and encourage folks when there's tough times in their lives. Maybe even help find some resources that they may need.
Good, thank you.
So for people just joining, we're watching a Zoom meeting with Chaplain Dave out of Eastside. That'll be done soon, and then they're going to get moving here again.
Any service projects that we drive and I'll work on RVs all week for the other.
Well, thank you for helping out.
Okay, any other questions for me? Some of you guys don't want me either.
No, I don't think there are any more questions, so thank you so much, Pastor Dave.
Yes, ma'am. All right, you guys have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That would have been a lot more helpful if they'd had speakers and a bigger screen for everybody in the room to see it, but that's okay. I know everybody watching this isn't going to be able to hear that at all.
Eastside Fire Automatic Aid Agreement.
Yeah, I spoke with Chief Jerry Lynn and the meeting that we had, and we both feel that it's in the best interest of both districts and communities that are served by predominantly to Harrison, Elvira on our side, and that we pursue automatic aid agreement. Chief Lynn and I will draft that and then submit it to both boards of commissioners for approval. That will better response times, they give us more resources. Those areas of the district out there that tend to be underway from our
That's where response times are
So,
low.
as far as action items, we'll have to wait for you to draw that.
Yeah, what I'm asking for tonight is approval to pursue that with Chief Lynn, draft MOU.
What happened to those firefighters that were responding out there?
There's still firefighters out there.
They were really good on being on time and showing up.
Yeah.
So we want outside the cycle, especially since the Saturdays and everything, and our personnel give us support to make sure, yeah. So.
Yeah, he does need to speak up.
I must have been dropped, yes, that's one of my lists on my agenda.
He was asking if the 2-block response time.
Still
They're
figure out the
already
boundaries, what's.
helping a lot together.
Yeah, we have mutual aid agreement with them presently, but automatic aid means if we or they are dispatched to a major fire incident, then their district or our district would be dispatched at the same time, rather than having to request that aid.
I'll make a motion that you go ahead and communicate that to the site fire district.
Motion moved to make a motion.
All in favor? Aye. Alright, triple I, a joint powers renewal agreement.
Yes, this is our annual renewal agreement. Originally they had sent a whole joint power agreement, which was 20 pages. And then I got a letter from Susan Lawson. She is the operation manager. She says the attorney drafted the attached acknowledgement, which is the last sheet I gave you. And she says this acknowledgement will be executed in replacement of the joint power agreement. So this will help us to streamline the process much faster. So it's just our annual renewal agreement with AAA for our health insurance.
I'll make the motion that we set the Idaho authority, triple IA, acknowledgement. Renewal agreement.
Alright, all in favor? Aye. And I will sign this document, Carrie.
Thank you.
So when the meeting first started, they discussed it, credible threats, and so that's why they have the officers here. Only they've had officers here for the last two meetings.
Have that, Carrie, or we'll sign this. We need a motion to approve this.
Make a motion. Approve the medical director renewal agreement as presented.
All in favor? Aye. Public safety testing subscriber agreement.
So the public safety testing agreement is to have the firefighters candidates that are gonna be applying for the position. This is gonna be for their PST test, which is their written test. That is offered virtual or monthly in location. And the CPAT test, which is the physical ability test, that's done quarterly in Spokane. We decided they were 2 subscriber fees. One is $300 for a 12-week period where we can send all the candidates there for testing. Or we can do an annual, which is $600 a year. So the chief and I sat down and went over the subscriber fee, and we decided that the 12 weeks would be enough, which is $300. And that's for them to take the test. And then for each test, the PSFT test, that's $54 for that test, and $139 for the CPAT test, which is the physical agility test. I looked at 2 other testing centers. One was National Testing Network, they were on the back. And the second one was Fire and Police Selection, and their prices were much higher than the Public Safety Testing Center. Public Safety Center, a lot of the agencies around here use the same testing center for them. Not for testing, they can, like I said, they can either do it online, take their test, or they can go in person to Spokane to this community center and take their written test and just go to it.
So this is talking about people who are applying can go in and take a test up in Spokane,
They don't have.
but it's pretty extensive, and they won't be qualified for the position,
So then we'll
so
be making our pool smaller.
yes, we're gonna lose. We don't have hardly any firefighters left as it is. So,
So I understand that we're growing into a.
I mean, it is a public forum.
I understand that we're growing into a bigger city and all, but when you start stipulating, Chief, when you start stipulating all these requirements, then the pool's gonna get smaller and smaller, and to be able to finally get out here, we only had 2 chief candidates for this area. This isn't a big pool, and so you're limiting already the volunteers and chase some away. Now you're limiting the pool for hiring, and it just seems like it's becoming more and more that you're jumping to a city when we have to ease our way towards the city.
It's
With a 5-year
simply
plan.
making sure that we get good candidates.
So when it
It's a
comes to
vetting
writing
process.
though, does that
It's a
not
vetting
negate,
process.
some of our firefighters, some of our best firefighters that used to be here did not, read very well. So, and they don't write very well. So that's completely taking out a whole good crop full of people just because they don't test, and I've never been okay with that.
This district needs qualified, capable candidates.
What about
we're
you?
not gonna get that.
Qualified
We I think our longer
We
than our.
had qualified, you came in here insulting the fire department and the people, and stating that the people did not like, with lying, that the people did not like the firefighters here, but we were #1. If you would look at me while I'm talking to you,
Look at that
that'd be fantastic. Including, when we went to academies, we were asked to teach. We had paid departments that highly respected the St. Mary's fire crew, and were proud when we came. Some people didn't even know that we were a volunteer fire department, because we had one amazing crew. Until you came in and insulted us and said that you are easily, I have it on recording.
Yep.
Treat them like
It's on
children.
recording.
You insulted them and stated that you can make a quick phone call to bring in others. You came in here just looking at us and calling us hillbillies. When we prided, I have it on recording too. When we
Yep, on
prided
recording.
ourselves on the training that we enacted and what we gave to this community. That's what we did.
I have a question on the agreement, if we get back to this.
Proceed.
Positions that it talks about for volunteer firefighters, what's up?
This is not for volunteer firefighter, this is for career paid
All right,
firefighters.
but on the agreement, it says position volunteer. Right, so it should be changed.
I haven't had a chance to look at it. If you're gonna take action on it, I would do it subject to review. I just wanna make sure
Okay.
what we're signing is, valid. So that would be my comment, and I'm gonna entertain a motion. I'd still like to look at it.
Right, I'll make a motion that we move forward with the public safety testing subscriber agreement, given the chance that Andy has had a chance to review. Accept it.
Favor?
That was for the 12-week period.
Yes. Alright, now we will open it up
Same, we
to
qualified people, we need to get rid of the
Broader.
chief then. Yep. Okay.
discussion of Fifth Street Fire.
All right, this is for Bobby Rotter, and she's going to be discussing the 5th Street fire, and this is
Okay,
important.
so my name is Bobby Rudder. I live on the 200 block of 5th Street. It was our household that called in the fire on Mother's Day night, of all nights in the world. A night that should be celebrated by everybody and honoring your mother. And all of those in here that have kids will know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Not only did I have to sit by and watch 2 houses burn down, we lost a 14-year-old girl in the
Yeah.
process. And, okay, I just want to clarify for everybody, because I have been contacted by the board. I have made all of my emails and correspondence transparent to anybody that wanted them. I am not y'all's spokesperson in this. I am just speaking from me and who I am and what I saw that night. But what I saw that night was wrong. And because I was the one that finally stepped up and started asking questions, the board decided that I was going to be the one that was put on the agenda. Now, I have a lot of questions that happened about that night, and I'm sorry I have been out of town for the past 5 days. I got back yesterday. I started making phone calls, trying to get answers, because it seems like nobody can answer my questions. And so, go ahead.
All right, I have your email here.
Yes.
With your list of comments.
Yes.
All your concerns.
Mhm.
So do you have a copy of that?
Oh, yes, of course I do.
All right, well, why don't we just start there, then that way we can stay on some form of structure.
Oh, no, trust me, it'll all come back
All right.
together at the
So-
end. But still, again, you put me on the agenda, I have my right to speak at this point. And you guys are the ones that appointed me the spokesperson of this group, so I will be heard.
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely, thank you.
So, again, I did submit, when I first put in the request, because I was told to be on the agenda, I had to submit a request to be put on. So I came down here, I filled out my information, and then finally, days later, I did get an email saying, well, we want more information. So I did submit that information. That information, just so that the board is clear on this, my response was, I want to know why there was a delay in the fire response that night. I want to know why the staging of apparatus was quite honestly screwed,
Yeah.
and whoever was driving that truck should have known better or had better training. Number 3, I want to know why there was a delay of water on the fire scene, because trust me, there was quite a long delay. And I want to know actually answers from the fire chief on this one. I want to know the incident command structure of this fire scene, because what I saw also again that night was there was no incident command on scene. Y'all allowed civilians to participate in a fire scene trying to stop a fire that was affecting not only one house and a loss of life, but a second house. And yet, it wasn't until 30 plus minutes later, y'all decided to act against the civilians on that fire scene to where it resulted in tasing one civilian, sending them to jail, trying to control the scene. If you all had a problem with that at the beginning, you should have stopped that at the beginning.
Yep.
I also want to know what the mutual response is for this fire department. And yes, I heard from the fire chief that they are trying to develop an automatic mutual response. Why has that not been explored in the past? Why did it take over 30 minutes for y'all to page out Plummer and Fernwood in outlying areas when you had a structure that was fully involving one life? That should have been an automatic thing, especially when you only had how many people show up on scene originally? 4?
I saw 2.
2?
Weren't they 2?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, we'll go back to that. Okay, but then it also goes back to, I will never blame the volunteer fire department. I want to know, just a show of hands, really, really quick, how many of you are volunteers? How many of you have ever been a volunteer firefighter?
Everybody's hands up.
Yeah, that includes me as well.
Thank you.
I will never blame the volunteer, because it always comes from above us. When it comes to lack of training, lack of guidance, lack of discipline, it always starts from above, and it always rolls downhill. But you know, we can't change the past on this. The whole thing is changing the future.
Exactly.
How many more fires can we go through where we lose a 14-year-old girl
Thank you.
and homes? Can anybody here tell me how many residents are in Valley Vista? Off the top of your head. Chief, how many residents are in Valley Vista? Why do you not know that as fire chief?
Because, ma'am, I have been here the sole source of 30 days, and I'm still learning things.
Your large structures should be one of your number one priorities.
Thank
Same
you.
as the hospital, Valley Vista, the school, or anything else. I'm sorry, that's just how it is. You know, and like I said, but it all comes down to accountability. You know, it comes to who is responsible for this. Because I have a friend standing here in front of me, and I literally banged on his door, about ready to throw a brick through the window,
Yeah.
to get him up, because it was his house that burned down next to the one.
And the whole block would have burned down if it wasn't for the people
And
holding the
yes.
hoses, and not one fire department guy had a hose.
I called around multiple times today on asking about the fire investigation. I called the state of Idaho and asked about the fire investigation. They told me their fire investigation was concluded 3 days after the incident. So why is the report not released yet then?
What's the question?
So Chief, do you have an incident command report from that night?
Or I will not answer.
You don't have to answer.
But
I can't
no,
answer
okay,
it
so,
if you don't let me answer the question.
okay, so this is my question to you. Do you have an incident command report from that night?
We have a report, yes.
Can you read it to us?
No, I cannot.
Why?
Because it is not completed.
What
We
is
are
not
waiting
completed
for
about it?
A report from the state fire marshal's office.
And you still cannot answer when that report will be completed?
I don't control the purview of the state fire marshal investigation.
So why did the state fire marshal tell me today that the report was concluded 3 days after the actual incident?
Excuse me?
I was saying, but the fire marshal today that I spoke to told me that the report was completed on their end 3 days after the incident, and it was concluded that it was an electrical fire on the front porch, and that they have released that information.
It was concluded that it was an electrical fire. I have asked for the report, and as far as I have been told on 3 different occasions, the report itself has not been completed.
Bobby,
Yes.
when you asked to be put on the agenda, you talked about the community needs to get together with.
Yes.
And I think we even quoted in the paper that we need to work together as a community.
Yes.
And then talk about the different things that we need to do to improve where we stand.
Exactly.
Things like this are not, we're never gonna be able to eliminate tragedies. Tragedies happen. However, there are things that you can do to mitigate them. And would you like to hear a list of things that are going on now to help improve? So
Well, see, that's why I'm asking these questions right now, because y'all said I was the only one.
Doesn't really know what happened because it hasn't been in the paper.
Thank you.
And that's why I'm asking, that's why I gave this list.
really,
This is why I gave the list when it was asked of me on what needed to be discussed. All of y'all have that list. You wanted to go off of it and start on that list that I submitted to y'all on what I wanted to talk about. So I ran down my list. And honestly, it's kind of a shame. I moved to St. Mary's for a reason. Because it's an amazing community. Absolutely amazing. But something like this cannot continue to happen. So we have to look at every little aspect of it. And, you know, there's nothing wrong with saying, you know what, we screwed up. But you know what? Unless you fix what you screwed up, it will continue to happen. And that's how these meetings right here happen.
let's talk about the fixes and where we're going forward.
Okay.
I think that's easy, right? Because we lost how many firefighters because of the new.
Yes.
So the fix is.
But, okay, and I understand what you guys are saying is very valuable and important, but right now we're not talking about the new fire chief. We're actually talking about a fire that happened that took a young girl's life and 2 homes. And yes, that might have contributed to it because of the lack of response by the volunteers due to the new chief. We have to talk about this fire and what happened wrong. Do you want to know, in my perspective, what happened wrong as a former firefighter?
Yes, we do.
Yes.
I'd like to hear it.
Yeah.
I saw a delay in response time. I saw an improper staging of apparatus. So, like I said, it was our house when we opened the door and saw the porch fully engulfed that we called 911 in. And then finally, when the fire department showed up, we had a structure involved with 2 vehicles out front, and the engine literally pulled up straight out front of the 2 vehicles, fully half involved. Full structure involvement and 2 vehicles involved. And they stopped within 20 feet of those 2 vehicles. Anybody that is a volunteer or has any type of fire training will know what happens whenever you're dealing with, especially with vehicle fires, because you have magnesium blocks, you have full fuel tanks, you have a lot. If the civilians on scene wouldn't have helped get that fire apparatus pushed back and out of the way, y'all would have lost your engine.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, as I am sitting there watching this fire happen, the chaos on the scene, because nobody took control, nobody established command,
The one that tried to get tased.
Yes, oh yeah. It literally was a free-for-all.
He was an ideal firefighter.
Was the fire chief
Alabama,
there at the time?
Okay, I'll get to that one in just a second. So me being me, standing back and watching this, and I can see what is going on. I can see how, and unfortunately, the house was a mobile home. And anybody that knows anything about fire, mobile homes burn very fast and they burn very, very hot. By the time the fire department showed up on scene, that structure was fully involved. So it went from just a front porch fire to fully involvement. Minus the staging of the apparatus, finally getting it back, and then I'm watching Derek's house, and the corner of Derek's house starting to smoke from where my front porch is. So, and I wish Pulley was here, but Deputy Sheriff Pulley, and I'm going to call him out on this because he is freaking amazing, and he was one of the few people who actually listened that day on scene. When I told him, I'm like, listen, I even pointed it out, explained to him, Derek's house is going to ignite in less than 5 minutes unless y'all get water on it. Is there mutual aid? He started calling in mutual aid for wanting to know the ETA on mutual aid for Plummer, for Thornwood, for other outlying areas, because that was going to make a difference. Still could not get any answers. It was chaos. Lines were scrambled because of improperly trained or not trained firefighters. Hoses were tangled up. They could not get water to the scene. For some reason, y'all lost your spanner wrench of all things, which I still don't understand, because the spanner wrench should always be kept on the first inside lying door of your apparatus, especially when you're dealing with hydrants. Yes. Every opening bay door on a fire apparatus should have a spanner wrench on the door. I still don't understand. And like I said, my training was years and years ago. I should have been in the freaking Stone Ages on my training, but apparently not. Yeah, and then I did finally actually go to fire chief. I tracked him down, kept asking who was in charge of this scene. I just wanted to express my concern for the second house that was about ready to catch on fire, because Derek's house is twice the size of the first house that was fully involved. Derek's house lights off, and if it lights off fully, it's going to burn the whole block. I finally found, because they said look for the guy in the white hat. I finally did find the guy in the white hat, and I tried to explain to him, I need to show you what I'm seeing. You need to see Derek's house. It is going to catch on fire. You need to get water on that house. He kind of he literally shrugged me off and whatnot, and I do understand a fire scene can be highly emotional and very charged, but sometimes you got to kind of listen to other people, especially when you only have 3-4 people on scene. I don't know. I asked for the records, and I told it was going to be 10 days before I got the records on the response time, to who showed up on scene, to when they showed up on scene, to all. I don't want to know who. I just want to know times. But I'm looking at 10 days now, at least, for that information. So you want to know what I saw? And no offense, and I will pardon my language, but it was a clusterfuck. And then on top of it, somebody finally decides to try to establish some type of command, and they tase a civilian who was probably one of the most highly educated fire individuals on that scene, even though he was an individual or a civilian, and sent him to jail.
They didn't tase the other two.
Never have dropped that charge. They're still prosecuting.
I honestly, I don't get involved in politics, but what I saw that night was wrong. And if it was politics that rooted that, because of the lack of volunteers that were showing up, because of the politics that involved the fire chief, or y'all, I don't care. But we lost a 14-year-old girl and 2 houses in one night. And there was no excuse for that, none. Especially, I am a block and a half away. A block and a half. I don't understand that part of it. I really honestly don't. And this is on all of us to make it right and figure out Whatever is the problem is, put away your personal agendas, put away your personal theories or whatever. But this is for not your own agenda, but for the community at this point.
We can all stand up, the only one's gonna make a change with these three sitting here.
But that's what we've
But
been
we
trying
have to
state
do
for the
it
longest
properly
time, is
then.
for you three
And
to
again,
listen. And you're
And
not
that's what the whole
listening.
thing is just please listen. How many, do y'all have, y'all, I'm sure, I'm just not judging, but y'all have kids and grandkids, right? I got to spend the last weekend with my grandkids. First time all of us got together. And there was at one point, because I knew what was coming up today, and I was sitting and talking to my kids about today. My kids know me. They knew what I grew up in. My kids were the same, you know. And I started crying because I thought, what if I ever had to lose one of them due to the circumstances that happened a month ago? I will stand up for every one of the people in this community and back them when we need to make a change. It's not up to us individually. This has to be with all of us.
But you have to see it's a domino effect, okay? With you and your ego that has been running this show for so long and disregarding the placement in the ICS system, you cut off the head to the leader. The leader was then gone, which then led a cluster with the firefighters and not knowing who's in charge, what's going on. So then that trailed down to hiring this guy. This guy comes in and automatically he dictates and forces his way in on how things should be done. With you not listening to the very own firefighters requesting to be on agendas, they backed out. When they backed out, other people left. When he came in, he insulted the firefighters, he insulted the public. There's numerous reports from public stating that he has insulted them. So that releases more firefighters. So the firefighters are leaving. And it starts from the top, trails down to the chief, and then we have an effect such as what Bobby's going through.
Yes.
And what Derek's gone through. And Renee's gone
You
through.
think the insurance is gonna pay for all of it? No, they fucked me. What happened? Yeah. You guys didn't cover the extra
What if it was your house that was
$60,000 that he gave me?
And you guys had to deal with this, what if it was yours?
Yeah, exactly. I
What
wanna
if you
know.
stood there that
You
day?
You're either part of the solution or part of the problem.
Can we talk about?
Hey, guys, come on, let's finish.
I like what you're saying, Bobby.
But let's
and I agree.
finish, and these are all honestly separate issues.
Yeah.
But it also stems down to each issue is its individual thing that they are all tied together. And that's what we have to look at also as well. We have to fix this. We are all accountable to somebody. Okay, even y'all, to the decisions you made are accountable to somebody. I'm accountable to somebody, Derek, we all are.
Yeah, they're not.
They're not.
Yes, everybody is
But they're not.
accountable. Yeah, everybody is accountable.
They're actually not.
But-
Besides who the fire chief is, the whole community, shouldn't the community vote on
Yes.
They should.
Yes.
it?
Yes.
Somehow? Or
Who
get
should
rid
be
of
the
one?
fire chief?
Shouldn't we
You
know a little
guys-
bit?
We're kind of getting off the subject.
No, not really.
We have a diverse group of people that review, look at applications, and we found it's the best individual.
Was it a diverse
Wow.
It shouldn't be a diverse group of people, it should be the community.
You said diverse, yeah.
It's a globalist. 1% of this, 1% of our population is a globalist. And they are trying to take us down. And these people get money from them up the yin and yang up. And they are, can we maybe go through some of your fixes? Because
Yeah.
I personally would like to know.
Thank you.
I would actually. So how, okay, again, so how do we fix this? Okay, so as you
With the
guys
fire
know,
commissioner.
I've shared my story
I
where,
don't even know personally why Marcelo was let go.
Right.
okay, honestly, that is a different subject. Can we address that at a different time, please?
That's a big part of this.
Yeah.
It is, but we have to do it during proper timing.
Yeah, do a different agenda, but they won't ever let us talk. They won't put it on the agenda is the problem.
You still have your fire department.
It's because
Still
there's
here. You still have your fire department. You're still here.
Bobby,
You're still
what
here.
else do you have to say?
We have to fix this. Okay, so, okay, I'm going to, just give me a second. So those of you that have heard me speak at the council meeting or here, my father started a fire department in 1978 because our friend's house burnt down. He petitioned, got a rundown fire engine from the company he worked for, which was an airline, to start a fire department because a friend's house burned down. I grew up in a fire department. There was a time when my dad thought that he was getting too old to be in the fire department and resigned until the mayor's house burned down. So they approached him and was like, you know, hey, we need you to come back. He's like, you know, I did my time. Why should I? Nobody showed up. Why did nobody show up? That's the number one question. Why? Your volunteers are your best asset. And if there is a problem with your volunteers, you might as well lock your doors. Yeah. And that's like right now.
Yes.
And that's like right now, even though this meeting is going on, why aren't your bay doors open? Showing that you're open to the public and inviting. If anybody is here on property, manning this building or whatever, honestly, your bay doors should be open.
Let's get back to what we need to do to make it.
Yeah, so then,
That's what she's
now,
saying.
There it is.
what are you going to do about it?
You all know it.
Because this goes back on all of y'all. What are you going to do about it? Because you're going to destroy this community if you don't do something.
And would you like to be a part of the help in making things happen?
I said I would, but I cannot be a volunteer firefighter anymore just because my body health is not enough. I could get you coffee and donuts, but that'll be about it for my health. And I have offered that. But even last month when all of this happened and I have gone to meetings,
You have enough money.
I
from the
haven't gotten a
globalists
call
to
from
get
anybody.
people out.
Only one person reached out and contacted me, asking me for information in a month. And then now in the public, you want to ask me for help? I'll give it to you. I'll give you my opinion. I'll give you whatever help I can.
Benewah County.
That is her help. That is beautiful.
But you gotta solve this.
Yes, we do. And we can't solve it in a room full of people.
Can't solve it with the public. Can't solve it with the public.
What'd she say?
She said we can't do it with a room filled. We can't solve it in a room full of people.
Why does the transparency not come through with the room full of people?
Let me just say this. Everybody in here has their opinion and they have their say,
What's yours?
right? But Bobby is making perfect sense and I agree with everything that she is saying. And I would sit down with her and work one-on-one.
When would you like a meeting with me?
What's your opinion on
When is
it?
your-
Why don't
when
you guys
is-
give
when
us
are you
your
available?
opinion? Hey,
I
what's
am
your
usually
opinion?
off Mondays and Tuesdays.
Mondays and Tuesdays?
Yes.
You don't have an opinion on the
I
fire?
will call you.
Okay, thank
Do
you.
you have a number where I can reach you? I've tried calling you and I haven't done
Hey, let's
Well,
see-
because where I work, there's no
Hey, why don't you
cell
guys give us
service.
opinion on what
it.
happened?
We're
Oh, you're trying to fucking not listen. I wanna know what
Anyways,
you think
I
about
will
the whole
reach
thing.
out and message
What do you
you.
think?
Pardon me?
I will reach out and message you.
What do you think about what happened that night? Why don't you tell us?
You have my email.
Yes.
I would say his house burned down.
Why don't you tell us what-
Deserves to be heard.
Yeah.
Instead of showing disgust every time you look at him.
How do you feel?
I feel badly that you have lost your property. I'm happy that you did not lose your life.
I thank
I'm
Bobby for
glad,
that.
Yeah.
I'm glad that everybody has come together here. And I think as Kevin has said, as Bobby has said, and I'm sure that Rudy feels the same way, we are working on getting things resolved. And the chief is working on it.
Every
You
day
may
is
not
a big
think he
difference.
is, but we have already got things in place where we are going to hire.
Do you feel responsible?
Hire,
It-
went
it
from a
all-
volunteer
it-
firefighter
all
to
the
hiring now, we have to spend more money. When with all these great volunteers, we didn't have to spend no money on them, and now you're gonna hire more people to come
Well,
in.
who's paid?
This guy could be
You don't
paid
even know
and
your
he can still-
firefighters.
You-
And the thing is no, you do not.
Who's
You
in
didn't even
charge
know
of
Brian's
making sure
name.
the
Don't give
proper
me that. You've been
equipment's
here
on
for
the
11
truck?
years and didn't know his name.
Yeah, that's-
And Brian's our top firefighter.
Yes.
Now,
Was.
the other thing
My
is,
friend.
He was.
how come, I'm very grateful for Bobby, and she said it, and she spoke for this community. However, you're picking and choosing who you want to listen to.
Yep.
And that is not all right. Because this community, if this is not apparent, something has screwed up, because they are here. And they are here is because I have started speaking out against what you guys are doing wrong behind scenes. And now the community is here and asking for questions. Did you want the officers to come over?
No,
Can I come
I
over?
was looking
Okay,
at the door.
so I didn't know if you're looking, giving them a wink or something to tell them.
Because they have had her escorted out before, just so anybody watching this knows. They had us all escorted out.
This has been my biggest thing. We want to be heard. We do not want to be shut up. We asked to be on the agenda, but it does not fit your agenda. It does not fit your narrative. But then when you have her and you're like, oh please, I will meet with you. I will sit with you.
Yeah, it looks nice.
However, you only choose when you want to choose instead of allowing the community and listening to the community without rolling your eyes.
Thank you.
Hey, Marcel, real quick, how long was it when the new chief came in before you were pushed to the side?
February 9th, they let
Why
me
didn't you
go.
have her work with him
When
for
was
6 months
he
before you got her?
officially on duty?
He says now.
Half the thing.
Yeah.
So then why did
Yep.
he not learn anything from you? As opposed to-
They didn't want me here.
Exactly.
And they cut off, she ran operations.
Yeah. That's where I was going.
You don't tell the public that you're not gonna answer their questions.
Yeah.
You just
You
did.
just did, you're lying.
Yep.
You're lying.
When did I
Just
tell
did.
someone?
Can we get back to?
You win. You said I won't answer your questions if you
these
won't
are the
allow
ones
me
that
to.
need
I
to
won't
be
answer anymore from here on out.
Kevin, did you not state that you had responses to her, her points that she had?
Well, yeah, a lot of the points that she had was
Did you have a response to
that
them?
she wanted to talk, and I think we still do.
We want action, not talk.
Well,
So-
About what we need to do to.
Let me reinstate this, lady right now. I just got.
We can only have one person talk at a time, all
Well,
right?
then speak up, there you go, we can hear you.
All
Look at
right.
you. Take a
Sorry,
stand.
I'm
There you
lying.
go.
Here's your southern voice, son.
Gee,
Sit over your kids.
Bobby, go ahead again, I guess.
So then can you give a rebuttal to the points that I sent y'all an email on, since you said that you had information or solutions or half solutions? Can everybody just be quiet for a moment? And I want to hear your feedback on the information I sent you guys as a commissioner base.
Thank you. One of the things that we need, and we've needed for a long time, and we've been working on it for a long time, there are more volunteers.
We had it.
We need additional volunteers.
I'd love to, I don't write very good.
And there you go. Yeah.
If they know it's their job.
There are lots of ways to volunteer, but, so what are we doing? We just went through a class, had 8 or so individuals go through the class. It's not done. We need to complete that class, so we have some things in plan to get more and more volunteers.
Should
You
get one for
get a
that.
lot of money for
We
doing
have-
all that.
We had the highest amount of volunteers since 2015 before
Why
I
did you guys
left.
change that?
Just FYI. We had the
Okay.
highest amount in a long time. Just in case anybody's wondering, we had volunteers.
Yep.
And we were encouraging
How
them.
do you anticipate
We're the best.
Always
getting more
trying to-
volunteers?
Because they get money from the government.
Okay, you guys, come on, rein it in. Rein it
Guys,
in.
come on, let's rein it in
Sorry,
here.
Bobby, sorry.
No, you guys are good.
All right.
So then can I ask really quick then on your, you know that you need a need for volunteers, so what are you going to do to get volunteers and maintain and train those volunteers?
Good question.
Yeah, Chief, how you gonna keep them?
At this point, I do not feel that I need to address or answer.
Oh.
And why is that?
He doesn't need to address any questions.
I'm sorry, Chief, I can't hear you on this side.
Yeah, can you speak up?
If you want to ask me a question.
Or not.
And you want me to answer, I'm happy to do so, but please at least give me the respect to let me answer without.
I did, you're on the board. Nobody was talking that. Respect.
the question.
You were just-
Everybody looked at you and you said you weren't going to answer the question.
Again.
Nobody said a word until you said that. What's happening here, I'm simply saying.
You and you. And you and you.
Okay, then,
This is why this is happening.
Oh, wait a
This
minute.
is, okay.
He can't answer, but he don't know how.
8 people in a group meeting.
No
When?
honesty.
No, when? You guys decide who's gonna volunteer and who is. We're here.
Yes, they do.
We're here because
Yes,
They do now.
He has declined volunteers already that we had on board, and he sent them away.
Alright.
Okay, so we got a rebuttal to my question, so please, can you finish with your answering my question?
Everybody, he's gonna tell us his plan. He's gonna speak up and tell us his plan. Quiet. Right now, good, quiet.
I would really like to know what your plan is as a chief to get volunteers. They can stay.
You've asked him, let him answer.
You asked him that, tell us.
All right.
Okay. We have to do a recruitment, which we will have in plan to do. I have only been here for about 30 days.
Really?
And in that time,
Worse than
I've
you've
been
had.
here. In that time that I've been here, I have been doing evaluations and assessments and looking at everything, what's right, what's wrong.
Mother's Day was the day after he hired on?
It takes, a fire chief coming in typically takes 3 to 6 months to come in and figure out everything that's wrong, what needs to be improved, where the status of everything is, and come up with a strategic plan. And I'm not saying that it will take that long, but I'm saying I've only been here 30 days, and I can tell you in that time that there's a large amount of things that need to be addressed. And
So you weren't even here when our fire burned down?
You just said you came in to see what's wrong.
April 25th?
See what was right?
Well, I have a question to what you just said. Okay. You've been here just for 30 days, well, just on what he just said.
April
You've been
25th.
here 30 days and you're doing an assessment, I get that, yeah, I agree with you, okay? So my question is, was all this broken that it needed to be changed in that first 30 days?
No!
Let me see this. So I want to just take a picture. Okay, April 25th. He's saying he was here for 30 days.
Oiled machine here.
Excuse me. Congratulations, Chief, on April 25th is when you were hired on.
yeah, April 25th is when I was hired.
Do you know what today is?
30 days, 36 days, whatever.
Do you know what today is?
Do you know math?
No, you don't.
What did you just say?
Back to the positive.
30 days or whatever. You know, you've been
Do
saying
you
30
not
days.
know math? You can't figure out 30 days?
We're done. You just keep looking down. I'm talking to you, sir. You keep looking down. You didn't come in to get to know these guys. You came in to say, you're doing this or you're hitting the highway. And then you started dictating in ICS. You said we are abiding by the ICS system. Can you go on scene and claim IC and take it from Bigelow when that is not ICS program? And you know that. You are
weren't even
handed
on
off the IC position. You do not take unless there is incompetency. And there was absolutely no incompetency. So you, sir, do not abide by the ICS program.
Thank you.
Bobby, yes.
Can we just get back to, I mean, no offense to those, I mean, there's a lot of different topics going on here. Mine is still the Mother's Day fire, okay, and it's an underline of a lot of stuff. Thank you, Chief, for that information. Training is #1 asset of any department. And sometimes you don't try to fix a wheel that's already fixed, though. I'm just gonna say that one out there.
Was there any notes from the previous chief?
Anyway, so can we go back, because you were talking about the highlights that I gave y'all, and I still want to hear how you guys want to address the issues that I have presented to you on what needs to be fixed.
Talking about the 8 issues right here.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, there's in those 8 issues, there's a lot of issues,
Okay,
but.
I understand that, and he was trying to get through
I
this,
know.
so, and I appreciate you being the spokesperson.
I am not a spokesperson, I am only speaking for myself, and I made that very clear.
I understand that, and I like that, okay? And I think you and I should work together, okay?
Not being the spokesperson.
Don't do it.
Your
Don't work with
concerns.
her.
I'm just gonna read,
Yes, please do.
I will read the list, if people can, please be quiet so they can hear it and hear it correctly. Delay in response by emergency personnel, operational side and a dispatch side.
Correct.
All right?
How is that a dispatch side?
Yeah.
Dispatch side as far as calling out mutual aid.
It ain't-
Oh,
It's
hot
not up to
box.
him.
All that
It is not up to dispatch to call out mutual aid. It is up to the incident commander to call out
Thank
mutual
you.
aid. Unless an agreement has already been made by outlying fire areas for an automatic mutual aid.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well,
I just want to make that clear.
That's all the chief right there.
Yeah, I just want to make that very
We're
clear.
going to get to the fixes, guys.
Okay.
We're going to go down this list because that's what Bobby has asked me to do, all right? I am listening.
Okay, thank you.
All right? Staging of apparatus and operational response item. We're a governing board. We're not in the operational side of things. We depend on the people that who are trained
Okay,
and in the know to be able to do those things.
Okay, so when
Right.
I gave you that list then on the staging of apparatus, did you take anything into the staging of the apparatus or the incident report that should have came off the scene from the fire chief for that night?
We have not been.
Have you read the incident report?
We have not gotten
Why?
the incident report because it's not complete. Why do you want something that doesn't have all the pieces to it so you can put all the?
No, okay, so.
It doesn't take 30 days to get a report out.
An incident command report should have been done within 24 hours of the
Yeah.
incident, whether there was an investigation or not, because it's a clear and concise record of what happened at that moment. Waiting a month to complete an incident command report is a waste of time and energy. Anybody in any type of emergency response will know that. That if you, the longer you wait to fill out an incident command report, the more vague or distrusty that information will be. And if you're waiting for an investigation by fire marshals to complete an incident command report, then you're waiting on false information or information to push something that was not there.
And
It was 40
let me
minutes
just
until
say
Fernwood
this.
was told
There
down.
was one firefighter there that didn't get his report in until just the other day. So I mean, you're having to wait upon people who are working and have to
Yes.
get their reports in.
A month.
That's, I have no idea, but it
But as
was
commissioners, then who are you holding accountable to that information?
the chief to get it from.
Bobby,
Okay,
dispatch
again,
sends the paper out, Bobby.
Again, it goes back to timely reporting on information, and waiting a month for an incident report is unacceptable.
Bobby, dispatch sends the incident directly to the chief. The chief gets the incident, and that's within a less than a week.
Oh, I know how
And so
incident
he should
command
have
reports
that, which
run.
is all the call outs, the timing,
Yes.
and everything else.
And I can understand if there is a loss of life or multiple structures involved, why there could be a delay in response time for completing your incident command report, but honestly, a month,
expedite it.
that is unacceptable. It should have been pretty much written within the first 24 hours, finalized after you received your call-out times, your initial staging, your mutual response. There was a lot of other factors that I understand can go into an incident report. But a week should be tops.
Or at least
We're
an
a month.
outline, I mean, there wasn't anything.
All right.
And you guys should have honestly by then, especially when you knew I was going to come here and speak on this, that should have been one of the first things y'all asked for.
They have
was a copy
received it.
of the incident command report. Because that gives you an insight on what happened, just to arm yourselves.
All right, so now, this is what we're gonna do to start fixing it. We've got it posted in the Gazette and in the Coeur d'Alene Press, entry-level firefighters, 2 entry-level firefighters that will be on station overnight. All right, that's something.
Is that 24 hour?
Yes.
For the amount of money you can work at the grocery store for?
Okay, so
They hired me,
can you
they
read
have
down my list of items that I want to discuss for the night? Yeah, what?
I won't talk.
I know. Can you continue to read over the list?
Of course you
of items
won't.
I submitted for today.
Delay in water.
Okay, so Ken, all right. How can y'all lose a spanner wrench? Honestly, I'm kind of curious, because
You could have ran down here.
especially in a department, in a city department where you deal with hydrants, how can you lose a wrench? So there was a delay in putting water on the fire from the hydrant to, okay, all right, okay, let me backtrack that. There was a delay, first delay was the hydrant to the engine,
Rambo might be able to carry him.
because they couldn't find a wrench.
So the question should be, are we fixing it?
I think we want to address the issues though.
Why? Okay.
After my house burnt down, we have to
But
figure out.
now we need to look and look at everything.
Who makes sure the proper equipment is on the track?
They get take back by the globalists. Okay, so what are we doing to fix it? Who is responsible for fixing it?
I believe
the
the
truck
chief
with the
has an
globalist
answer to
thing.
that one too, all right?
let's hear it.
Okay, hey guys, come on, let's hear the chief for a moment.
What took place, you have action reviews, and we are determining what all took place. There's some things I can't discuss because of the personnel matters by law. I can't discuss.
Okay.
We are looking at what took place at the incident, and from there we will be able to determine what our course of action is going to be.
Can you talk up, please?
Okay, so
We
then,
can't hear.
to ask a question on that response, so you had basically pertinent equipment missing off of a fire engine, your wrench to control the hydrant, correct? You guys couldn't find the wrench.
That is my understanding. There was an
Okay,
issue.
so have you taken any?
There was an issue with the wrench, and I don't know exactly specifically what it was till at this point. We're still looking into all of it.
I heard the second day that y'all lost the wrench.
You can jog it down here.
Hey, guys, come on.
What people hear and what actually happens typically tend to be two different things. Right? That's why I feel. That's why we're all.
So what I saw, okay, so and then also it goes back to what I saw and what everyone is saying is two different matters as well. Y'all lost the wrench. And so then that comes to equipment and being properly placed on apparatus. So have you put any procedures in place to make sure that your apparatus are fully stocked with the proper equipment that is needed to fight a fire? Yes or no?
There are everything that's happened at that incident being looked at and everything internally, right? There's a lot here. One person can't fix everything in a day.
That's why you delegate.
I don't think that's, yeah, she asked if you put the equipment on the truck now.
Yeah, is it on there?
That's what she asked.
I'm in the process of trying to go through our process.
I know, Hank, I made sure they're on there.
Hey, everybody.
Okay, thank
Hey.
you, Chief, for your response.
No, you're
finished. No, you're good. No,
You're not letting it finish.
I'm just asking questions on questions.
What do I get out of the deal since they didn't have a wrench on their truck and my shit burned down? What do I get out of the deal? Nothing. I get lost, I lose my house, I lose everything. The insurance company wanted to cover half of what I had. Are you guys gonna pay for this? Are you gonna pay for you not having a wrench because you hired this guy who knows everything? Who come in here and spit fire and got rid of all these pros? Who my fucking house would not have burned down if it was this crew on the fire. Hands down.
Can you continue?
I will continue to read. I think that was on delay in water.
Yes.
All right, fixing incident
The answer
commands.
there was that
Yeah.
all the apparatus is being reviewed.
Oh, the apparatus and everything you need on them.
The apparatus were in great shape
Yeah.
for what we
When I sit in my
had,
rental, I
and the
look
tools
at
were
my
on
house,
it.
that helps me.
All the tools are on the trucks.
No.
Did you ever hear of an issue of this before? Absolutely not. And then also we're MacGyvers and we got it done.
Yep.
I didn't ride around in my command truck and be like, what do I do?
I always made sure there was at least 2 or 3 hydrangeas on every truck, and I know there is.
All right.
Well, I don't know who was on scene.
Cal Fire does have a right though.
Nobody was on scene that knew what was going on, apparently.
Sorry, Bobby.
Oh, no, you're
Thank the guys that did show up.
I want to thank you who woke up out of bed to come help us that morning. That's who I
Hey,
am.
I got your ass out of bed. Anyway, could you please continue?
I would love to.
It's an organizational charge situation,
I
and you have to
understand that. It's still just, it's just been a month.
But you still have, this is a public, and it's very emotional to a lot of people
All
here.
right.
So sometimes we have to have a little bit of patience.
That's fine, and I
Okay.
understand that too.
Let's
But
move
I
on.
am listening, right?
And we appreciate that.
During the scene.
Okay, ICS. When was ICS established on scene? But then again, we don't have an incident report, so we don't know when ICS was.
I can write it. I could tell you because I wrote it down as it was happening.
You could give me a report.
I could give them the report.
Prior to my arrival, I don't know what the engineering company didn't probably establish command, that's what it looks like. So upon my arrival, I established Jefferson Command. We set up divisions A, B, C, and D, and we've also set up an interior operations for the structure that was the
What structure?
No.
Can you clarify?
Gentleman structure. two-story house.
Okay.
And who set up the
And how
control
long
on
ago
that?
From the initial call out of the fire, did you show up on scene, do you know? Or is that in your report?
Could you say that again, please?
How long after the initial 911 call did you show up on scene and establish command?
Well, I don't have the call-out sheet in front of me, but I believe it was about 20 minutes.
Anybody, for the public's information, I was a 911 dispatcher for Benewah County for 6 years. Anybody whose name is on that log and incident report, you can go in and get a copy of it yourself from the sheriff's
Up to 10
office.
business days, because trust me, I was at the sheriff's department.
I worked there, we did it same day.
Yeah, no,
I'm
they
just
told me
saying,
they
it's
couldn't
just
do
an
it the same
excuse
day.
to just push paper. If they're delaying it, then somebody's pulling some strings to cut you off, and that's absolutely
No,
wrong.
I
to
went
cover.
there and I asked for I didn't want to know the actual whole 911 call log. I wanted to know times. I wanted to know when the original time was called out, when the fire apparatus originally showed up on scene, when established command, and there was a few other questions that I have for the actual 911 call out for when mutual aid was called and when then mutual aid showed up on scene.
Bobby, all that information would be on that log. And
Yes,
any-
if they're telling me
any-
I have to wait maybe up to 10 days. They'll call me when
Well,
it's
then
ready.
wait the 10 days, that's less than another fucking month.
Oh, I know, I'm waiting. I'm being very patient. Let's say no yet.
Yes.
But anyway, so thank you for that.
This is a public meeting and profanity really isn't necessary.
First Amendment of the Constitution.
Training, knowledge, and personnel on scene.
What was that again? Can you say it louder?
Training, knowledge, and personnel on scene.
Yeah, because it just seemed like to me, there was really very minimal personnel, firefighters on scene that were trained.
The only time it looks like it is when Fernwood Fire Department showed up. The only time it looked like there was. The only time people went into my house and things like that. The only time they
Just
held time
because
water
the
hit the
reason
house.
why I
Yeah,
wanted
they
that
showed up.
brought up was because it goes back to the initial staging of the fire engine in accordance with the fire. Whoever was driving that fire engine literally stopped right in front of a fully engulfed building with 2 vehicles on fire in front of it.
All right, I wasn't there at the scene, so I'm taking your word for what you saw.
Should already know that.
All right, so an incident report, but we're willing to replace
Yes. And it also goes back to making sure when personnel are allowed to show up on scene, either they have a senior firefighters on scene to be able to direct and guide them to make sure they're not doing stupid stuff. And it's lack of knowledge, lack of training, lack of knowledge. But, or don't let them show up on the scene. Because a lot of times when you have personnel on scene that are not trained, when you have personnel on scene who are not trained properly in fire, things can happen. So that's probably why it probably goes back to one of my next questions coming up.
Well, just a second, let's address training. First of all, we've kind of come around full circle and said that we do need more personnel. We have for a long time. We have some things in place now.
We had a lot of personnel. Yeah.
Volunteers and training. We have a staffing needs, full-time staff individuals that we're trying to pick up. So we're addressing the volunteers, we're addressing the staff. The training, currently we're conducting evaluations and assessments on the training that's taking place and where everybody stands individually.
What about the chief?
And there should be some minimum standards for training.
Did we not have the
Should be
training when you
minimum
drilled
standards
us
to
on
be a chief.
spending the money?
Right,
We're
we
looking
just
at
discussed that
what's
in
needed
there.
for training.
I asked you, I told you about the training, and you grilled me on the training that we did, that everybody was on the same training level.
We all.
And then you said,
always
Marcella,
look
don't go
at
to
the
trainings because you're
dollars.
overworking.
Yep.
But the point is that we
The point is they didn't want to pay
there
her.
are training needs, and
But they'll pay some stranger.
actually,
Yeah.
we're pretty fortunate to have the chief who's been a trainer for many, many years.
Then don't
Oh,
let him
my
miss all
goodness.
that. He gets out there and trains them instead of using the gas money to go send them to Worley. Do it here. We have everything here to train. But we're sending them to Worley? Why is he sending them to Worley when I busted my ass and the predecessors busted their butts? No, that's a
Because
caveat.
they get
That's a
money
whole
for
different
this.
story. We're
It's
sending
an
them 3
agenda.
times a week for a month? Because he can't do it himself. We train everybody ourselves here. And I was damn proud of all those men and women. That you turn your back on, you turn your back on, you turn your back on Rudy, and you insult.
All right. But we are working on the training.
Yeah, working on it is gonna really make a lot of difference when a big forest fire breaks out the next week.
Yeah. You sit here and have no understanding on the actual training. You sit on your high tower saying, we listen to you. How many times did you listen to the firefighters when they requested you to be spoken?
Zero.
How many?
Right.
How many
You
times
listened,
did
you'd
you
have
deny
resigned
them
over a month
to be
ago.
on the agenda? Because you want to listen to them? The very men and women that you stand up for and speak for? How many times did you ignore this community? I'm thankful Bobby got through to you, but shame on you. This community has asked to be heard. And all you do, and you too, Kevin, is turn your back and say, we will work through this, we will get through this. But you sit behind closed doors in executive session without even stating exactly what's supposed to be on that agenda. No, I'm pissed because you guys have insulted me, you have harassed me, and you paid me out $25,000 in hush money? Hell no. That's why I said no. Shame on all 3 of you guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's a globalist agenda, you guys.
This is local, honey. This is local.
They've all been paid off. It's a global.
This is a local agenda, honey. It's local.
I let cops kick her out.
Yeah, they could take
her out.
Take her out.
They all get money.
Give me your gun, Dan. Give me your gun.
All right, wait, all right, everybody's talking again and nobody's listening.
Never listen.
We all, I think, recognize there is a massive need for training, especially new personnel. You can't just put somebody who walks in the department in a suit and say, oh, here, go fight a fire. They're going to screw something up. Like the lines on your fire that night was because somebody grabbed the bolts off the back of the truck and it turned into a squirrel's nest laying there.
But they don't know any of that.
We all know there's a lot to learn from this.
Yes.
All right?
So I appreciate the fact.
You can't go back and change
No,
it.
you
so
cannot.
we have
So I
to
do
go forward.
appreciate the fact that it is something that you guys have addressed, that it is something that we need to address. And I will again say, you guys should remember, you guys have some amazing firefighters that have been on this department for years and years and years. Don't discount them out on this.
Maybe you guys should just start your own fire department.
Learn to figure out a way to work with them, because this isn't about any one individual on your own agenda or your own political glorification. This is about a community that is hurting. So sometimes you gotta put away your own hurts to make this right. And even if it means swallowing your pride and getting along with other people, this is what needs to happen. Because what happens if Valley Vista catches on fire?
They're all dead.
What happens if the school catches on fire?
Dead.
What's going to happen if the hospital catches on fire?
Dead.
And the thing is, you guys want to talk about policy.
Right, and it takes 2 people to make it work.
Yes.
Okay,
It takes more than
sides,
2 people.
it takes compromise.
Yes.
All right?
And that's what I'm saying. Sometimes you gotta swallow, and I'm saying this in general. I am not saying this to any one person, I'm not saying this to the commissioners, to the fire chief, to the police, to the volunteers. This is all of us together doing this.
Bobby, you're
And
right.
working at one.
Yeah, because this is all in vain if it doesn't happen.
Can I ask a question that we're talking about fix this earlier? You were mentioning that you need to recruit new employees and new volunteers. Do you know how many you're looking for? And then the secondary question would be, do you know how many you lost once the new chief was put in place?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Good.
And I'm not,
Good question there.
It's an honest question.
I understand it's an honest question. What you're asking is, what are we doing for staffing? What are we doing for volunteers? What are we looking at for the people who.
Actually,
were
I'm kind of
volunteers.
looking at a comparison as
How many did you
lost
lose?
versus how many you're trying to get, and if that could be solved with making a different personnel change, acknowledging a mistake was made.
Take Jagger all the points back.
I mean, we're not trying to go back, but that's a forward-moving solution that might be an answer.
That might.
Firefighters back.
I
Yep.
think to clarify his question is how many volunteer firefighters have y'all lost in, let's say, the past 3 months?
There you
We'll
go.
make it a little bit longer, 3 months.
Actually, it's beginning
You should
of the year,
know.
actually.
How many?
No, I'm
Those
just,
that have, those that have responded on a regular basis,
5 of
that
them.
have responded on a regular basis, is that what you're asking? Because you've got a list, I have a list here of the number of firefighters that are on
okay, so,
How many
okay, let me
So you know what
rephrase
she's
that.
asking.
How
You know what
many
she's asking.
volunteer firefighters do you have show up on a regular basis then?
You had,
How many did you lose?
4,
Active.
6, or
How
7.
many are your active?
three.
You have 3 active firefighters?
And you lost how many?
And-
How many did you
No,
lose?
listen, no, we do not have 3 active firefighters.
Oh, okay.
We have left.
5 have left.
Yeah.
Well, 3 that I know of.
Well,
What?
there's 4
You
since
don't-
you've been here.
So you don't know your own
Me,
personnel?
Brian, Cody, and Marcel, that's 4. Like 4 fingers.
Let's give the chief a chance, he's only been here, and you guys.
How long, wait,
Been here
how
what?
long has he been here?
And you
How long has the chief been
How would
here?
we give him a chance when he threatens to
No, I'm
cover,
just
take our
asking.
jobs?
Okay.
All right.
He came in the first day and threatened us that we all replaced.
He did.
Yes, that is what you said.
I have it in
Exactly.
It's
It
recorded.
is
We've got our
recorded.
recording. We recorded you.
These firefighters need to be able to trust their chief.
Can I ask a question on that last one?
Yes.
Make it simple. How many active volunteers do you have now?
Trained.
Trained. 24 on the roster.
How many are trained?
How many of us think there's 24 on our roster?
Trained.
How many are trained?
They're trained.
Huh.
How many are
Now,
active?
that doesn't mean on.
Just because they got gear, I mean they're trained.
Okay.
So how many of them are active? There you go.
He's very quiet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
it's quiet.
On a roster, we have.
That's not what I asked.
What if I walked in there and I got on the roster? I'm not
It's a
trained at
simple
all,
question.
so.
5, 6, 12.
On a roster of 24, we probably have maybe 10 to 15 that are pretty active.
So if there was a
Really?
fire tonight, 15 people would show up for sure.
No, we can never guarantee at any time how many people will show up.
I can.
They're volunteers, and so they have lives, they have jobs. We have some volunteers that work during the day, we have some that work at night. When a call goes out, we can't say, oh, we're gonna have X number of people. We can't guarantee how many people are gonna show up.
Okay, since you knew that number pretty good, my question then is, do you know what that roster looked like when you started?
Yeah, since I've been here, we've lost, as far as I know, well, 3. I have nothing to do with the personnel matter.
No, I'm not talking about the firefighter, I'm talking about on the volunteer list. I'm trying to compare, because the fix is to recruit more. I'm just trying to figure out what that gap looks like.
So,
It's not that different.
You lost 3 of your 4 firefighters off the volunteer list.
And we've gotten some with training.
But you lost 3 that were major firefighters.
That's a real fire. Them were the real firefighters we lost. The real guys. Not
The ones that know everything.
like they're trying to fucking sweep up off the.
I appreciate all of our volunteers.
Yeah, me too. But there's facts of one's been here for 25 years, one's been here for 6 months.
And just because,
That's the difference. That's the difference.
and I just have one quick question. Just because you're the chief, does that not put you in the line to grab a hose and start helping?
Yeah, you did your work.
I'm asking honestly because I need to kind of know.
When I'm trying to run an incident, I can't get caught up in the incident.
Oh.
But you weren't running the incident. When I showed up on scene and asked where my crew was, you had no idea. You sent me down to assist 2 civilians that were on your hose.
Civilian.
2 out of 5 hoses that were charged.
I believe I communicated with Chief McQueen and you guys ended up doing the interior operation.
Well, when I showed up, you had no idea where my crew was because I had to ask you 3 times.
Well, at that point in time, I probably didn't know where your crew was at that point in time. I didn't know where they.
Because there's so many
Well,
people
you're
there.
incident commander, you should know that.
Incident commander should have known if you put my chief in charge of the interior, you should have been able to tell me he is there. I had no idea. I'm trying to figure out where my crew is, and it was so blinding with smoke I couldn't see.
Silenced everybody, so of course they're gonna wanna talk.
I understand. I was here for 6 years. I just.
Because my chief was there. You put him in command of that, and he was fighting that with us, side by side. We literally have to fight him to keep him from working to hurt himself when he came off of the injury list. My point is, you know you're shorthanded up there, why didn't you jump in and help?
Because if we jump in, then the safety factor goes in as well.
Where was it to begin with? Because it went in the toilet.
But you were
We were on the radio.
We were on the radio, we
I
were
listened to you all
listening,
night.
and we could see several of your firefighters that had no idea where to be.
Yes, Bobby.
We can go round and round and round. That I need to be communicating for safety.
We were
You need to start
listening
helping
to
your
you.
crews. You can start doing.
Yeah, I mean,
You're the only chief we've ever had that's never touched the hose, never helped them.
My
I was
chief-
pulling hose by myself, and you sat there in your truck and watched me.
my chief will show up on scene and help no matter what, and he still maintains a control over the entire scene.
Same with gateways.
Yep.
That's why we take short-handed time.
And I'm not trying to belittle you, don't get me wrong. I'm just letting you know, this is my chief, and I'm just wondering why you can't step up to that level.
I have.
You haven't.
I haven't seen it.
I was on a rescue call, and I was the only one there that knew how to do rope rescue.
And I heard about that rescue call, and that's not what I heard.
And you stood by and not even help on the whole line.
I heard on the
Well, that's funny. There was certified guys on that train.
That's what she said, you know.
Yeah.
All
everybody-
right,
He's lying.
Bobby.
Yeah, didn't even call us.
Yeah, we're gonna have Robert Charles.
Right.
The point is that we need to come together as a community.
Exactly.
Yeah, but it is, he
But
said, they
again,
said.
and I'm just gonna skip down,
We gotta
because I
stop
think we
laying
covered
blame.
I think we covered everything except for the last
No,
thing
when
that I
everything comes
submitted
back
to you
to
guys
him.
on my list, which is accountability.
Which there is.
And accountability is the biggest thing each one of you in a position of power, if you wanna call it that, can have, is accountability, not only to yourselves, but to the person that you work next to, and for those people who report to you. And you can't fix none of this until y'all start being accountable to yourselves on everything that happened. And like right now, we're kind of flying half blind here because, like I said, we don't have an incident report. There is no information on timing. We're all kind of flying blind here. We know it failed, okay? Honestly, that whole fire scene failed.
Yes. And it's not the only one.
So let's
Well,
fix
and who's gonna want to be a part
So
of
the
the fire
only way to
department
go
that is
forward
known
from
for
here
failing?
is to put something in place where people are accountable to their actions. So at this point, like I said, there should be no reason why an incident command report should take a month to get in front of your guys' little laps. So whether you act upon it or not, just to at least be able to read through it and go, okay, this is what happened, okay, I understand now. So when people like me who start asking questions, you'll be more prepared for my answers and be able to give me a response that I am satisfied with, even if it goes with our community.
That's legit your job.
And that is not what has happened. It's like I feel, yes, you guys have answered some of our questions, and I do appreciate that. But all of these questions should have been answered a long time ago. And you can't discount the community and how they feel and what they feel should be in place and should not be in place. This is a volunteer fire department, for God's sakes. You gotta give a little bit of leeway. How many people are in this town? 2,500? You can't do physical requirements and reading capabilities, and is your mouth score high enough to be a volunteer firefighter? Honestly, if you can hold a hose and put the wet stuff on the red stuff, and
Yes.
you give them a little bit of fire training.
Yeah, thank
They're not
And I
beating,
understand
not beating
that
down the
you
doors
were
to be
a
here.
training officer. I understand that you were a training officer. One of my best friends in fire was a training officer out of Chicago. And I worked right alongside him when I got my training. And I ended up leaving Alaska as a captain of my fire department and a firefighter one. But it's how you train people and how you work with them to make them give the best that they have. You want to work against them, they're going to work against you. You work with them,
Could be a lot of help for you.
You would have a department that is packed with numerous personnel showing up on every scene. So do you think on that Mother's Day fire, if it came across the radio that there was a fully involved structure with a 14-year-old entrapped, how many of the firefighters would have shown up? Every single one of them, even if they had no sleep, 1 hour sleep whatsoever, they would have all shown up. Because trust me, I've been there. I've seen life lost. I've been on incidents, on car crashes, boat incidents, of houses burning down where there was loss of life. You have to appreciate your fire department. You have to appreciate your volunteers.
And your community.
And you have to fix this.
Your volunteers come to the
It has
community.
to fix. And I will be back every month on every single meeting, and I will continue to put in for my agenda and ask the same questions over again until I feel, not the community, because this is me speaking, that this is actually going to be fixed. Because otherwise my dad will haunt me. Okay, I lost my dad years ago, and he was a dynamite man. And he ran his fire department, and we had a lot of volunteers. And everybody loved to do their job. Win, lose, or draw. Loss of life, saving someone's house, just being there. That's what a volunteer fire department is about. So you gotta remember that. All of you.
St. Mary's was that once upon a time. We were that before this happened. And then Helen got a vendetta against me and started harassing me with Kevin even stating, I know, Marcella, we just need to pick our battles. So they all knew about the harassment towards me. So Helen, since your vendetta has created this domino effect, I ask you to resign.
Yes.
For a second. Yes.
3 months.
Yes. You are not fit to be the spoken person for this community, and you are not the fit person for this district.
Absolutely.
And it takes morals and ethics, and you do not have it, ma'am, at all.
Let's make this a motion.
And now you think that is how we get together and make things.
You're saying the community.
It could start there. Because the problem is you don't, you say you're a spokesperson for us, but you don't listen to us.
This is ego.
Yeah.
Just like this?
On to you because you're in charge, right?
You say you're a spokesperson for the community, but you won't listen to anybody in the community when they try to talk to you. You shut us down the last time when I asked a simple question.
Sometimes you have to give a little bit to hear the emotions that are coming out. Yes, I have met with several volunteers of this fire department. Yes, I have met
I
with
would have
several
taken the $25,000 if I
because,
didn't
and then
give it
again,
to you.
I
Because I
also
give a damn about this
met,
community.
talked
I
to
just
several
have
other
you guys
people in
keep
our
it.
community about this, because I do form my own opinion on all of this.
I also wanna know why
But
you got
again,
all
it goes
upset.
back to that is a
I wanna know why
separate
you
issue
haven't spoken.
that maybe needs to go on the agenda. You know, right now, what I would like to know, but right, you have children here. But right now, what I would like to know is because I was the one on the agenda.
Rudy knows his
Do we have to
problem.
table this for the next meeting to get further answers since we don't have the reports that we need? And it's like, what, once a month, do you guys have these meetings?
We have our scheduled monthly meetings, the next one.
So then can I ask that this be tabled until the next meeting, until we have all of the reports? And we can see some action plans by the commissioners and the fire chief to make sure that we are being accountable to each other and making this department better?
We have action plans.
Are they detailed?
First plan is
Well, you don't even know what
Should
happened because
the
you
public, Kevin.
can't address
So
it.
Does it
should,
include a chief that's going to listen?
No, and do
You
something.
have action plans, but it still boils down to the chief. Chief, will you respect the men and women here? Chief, will you respect the community instead of yelling at them?
I don't yell at the community.
You do.
You do.
You do.
I've heard from 3 or 4 different people that you yelled at on a scene.
Sometimes at a scene, yes, that's what happens.
Oh,
That
you
never happened
yell at the
before.
community members at the scenes?
Those ones were not warranted because you assumed there was a ban on fires and slash piles, and you go and yell at them when you didn't even know all your facts before you went and yelled at
And
them.
this isn't California, they don't have the
He
same
just said he
burn
does
bans.
yell at them, and then he says he doesn't yell at them.
Yes, fine.
so can we table this until the next fire commissioners meeting so that we can see?
If you're still here.
Unless we get information,
What happens-
call a
what
special
happens
meeting, just.
No, I actually
No.
do not want a special meeting because your guys' special meetings happen at 10 a.m. in the morning. And most of the people here don't even get off work until late
Or they
afternoon.
post it like an hour before.
And so I would actually rather just go to the next actual agenda for the fire department, even if it takes a month. It'll give me more time to research, and trust me, I will, information.
Anybody.
Because like I said, unless you can guarantee me that a special meeting will not be held until after 4 p.m., I will say no to a special meeting.
That's a good question.
July 27th is our next meeting in Harrison, and that's, this schedule of events is presented at the beginning of the year.
Okay.
So this is all scheduled out for that whole year.
So maybe
So
they
do
should
I
do
have
a
to
special
come in
meeting at
and
the
fill out
end of the
paperwork
day
again
and
and
say it
ask
like
for
a week
this
ahead
to
of
be
time?
tabled until the next meeting? Or can I just request that now in here?
I would put it down in writing because they've already denied the firefighters, the ones that they're supposed to fill out.
Okay, thank you.
So you can see me before you go out.
Okay, thank you.
Stand up.
So,
Alex, stand up.
Can we ask that the individuals involved here that are supposed to be in charge come prepared for the meeting? Why don't the
That's
chief
why
have
I'm
the-
giving them
Yes.
all the
time.
times here with him? He knew there was a meeting today. Why didn't he have the incident report there with, so he can say, well, what time was it dispatched? What time did they get there? What time was the alarm put
We're
on?
trying to get that all the information.
Yeah, well, he should have been prepared for this meeting.
They would have had it within 24 hours if they'd asked dispatch for
It
it.
only takes a couple days to get the paperwork done.
Yeah.
Doesn't take a month.
and would you guys be opposed to having like an open forum that you would just put out to the public? Not just a meeting, but just an open forum where you guys can all get together and meet with the public, not on agenda, not on anything else, but to sit and listen and actually hear the community instead of shutting them down and saying, well, this we can't do because this doesn't fall into our category.
You'd have to do a.
I mean, it's
If you
just
don't
a
mind, folks,
suggestion.
I want to say something. I've been sitting here listening. I read an article in the paper last week, I think it was. It was about a page and a half about the fire. And I read the article and I didn't learn a damn thing. There was nothing in the article. Who, what, when, and where. Journalist 101. Let's write an article on what actually happened here instead of just some BS crap.
Well, the first part is you need to be transparent.
So the people know what's going on in the city.
Well,
Someone gives me an official report on what happens,
I'll sit down with you.
Are you Tyson? Are you Tyson? Okay.
Anyways, just back to my question, would you guys be open to doing something like that? Because I think it would be a great thing to actually sit down with the community. You wouldn't have so much hostility because you'd be willing to sit and listen to them and not cut them off and have them removed because it didn't fit into the agenda.
Right, maybe stop rolling your eyes so much too. That helps.
That'd be
It does, it does actually help though. It does
Oh,
tell
okay.
him.
Let's see
That's
what
not how I
happens.
grew up.
People start talking and then it just.
And-
because you built this up, lack of transparency,
Well-
lack of trust has now created a
Okay,
heated
and
environment.
that's what I was trying to say is if you open it up, if you guys open it up to the
Respectful
public.
Conversation, yes.
Well,
Yes.
we tried to, I asked you
And
to
if-
respect, and you slammed your hand on the table, yelling at me that you were superior.
Springs.
I
live in Echo Springs, and we're trying to start a volunteer fire department in that area because we've got many homes, many people in that area. I think it's part of the solution, but I think what we need here to bring everybody together, from what I've just observed, is you guys really need an arbitrator. Somebody that'll interview individuals, volunteers, to finding out exactly what happened, when it took place. Because there's too much scattered information. It won't bring the community together. And I think we're gonna lose an opportunity. I'm an electrical mechanical engineer. I solve problems. That's what I do for a living. And I think to be problem solving in this situation, I think if you guys had an individual that could be a spokesperson to go in between the community and yourselves, I think it'd be very helpful to find the solutions that you need, and also bring some closure to the situation.
That's supposed to be the chief, sir. The chief
Well,
goes in between the firefighters and the commission.
There really needs to be like a third party.
It needs to be somebody from the outside that isn't connected
Yeah.
with the situation. That's what it needs to be. And I
Absolutely.
think it'd be very helpful to you guys. It's just a suggestion.
I also think if you guys want a little bit of respect, you guys, which I don't know if that's possible, you guys should apologize to the volunteers and the firefighters.
Yeah.
Maybe you guys did wrong and apologize, but you guys can't even do that, can you? Because you have so much pride.
These are outsiders
Or
speaking
apologize
in.
to the people who
People
lost
who
their
have never
homes.
come to these and are witnessing it. Do you understand that? But you won't even look at me when I'm talking to you.
We've been listening all
You're
afternoon.
listening.
I'm sorry to inconvenience
Actually,
you.
to be honest, every time you hear something you don't, you look down, you shake your head. Every time he starts saying something he doesn't want, he'll say what he wants, and as soon as he gets interrupted and he hears something he doesn't, he's down. You guys are the psychological textbook example of closing down when you hear something you don't want to hear.
Called
So you're not
engagement.
being open.
This is why we
You're
have
not
wanted
being
the public here, because you state this doesn't happen, but the public is seeing this. The public is seeing you guys now. We have fought to get people in here. Jackie has spread the word. And now finally, I get people to see what I've been fighting with. The eye rolling, the lack of respect, the following along and making sure we do everything Helen says. Use your heads, guys. Think for
There it is
yourself.
again. Another symbol right there. Right there.
Just because
on
something
video.
covers you in the law of we could only have 3 minutes, you can only speak what's on the agenda. Does that make it right? No.
Bullshit is what it is.
Be
I know.
free thinkers.
There's a lot
I
of
have
people.
shown you all respect until you have shown me disrespect.
Oh, yeah.
And this is where
But
it
you
comes
can't
from,
stand it.
because I was very respectful. I have never been written up. I have fought for this department, I have fought for this community, and you guys turn around and shit on me. And now you're shitting on the rest of these firefighters, you're shitting on our agencies that respond. You call them 40 minutes later for a fire. You're consulting with Worley and Eastside. Have you forgotten the Mida, Gateway, Fernwood? They are, just because they're not in our area does not mean that we do not include them and
What about
respect them
IDL?
and call them in. IDL needs to be fantastic.
They all have fire.
We had interconnectedness,
On
we
a
had
situation like this,
bonding
that could be
with
helpful.
everybody. And then you started your reign of tyranny. Then it trickled down. Then you came in. I don't know you that well. I had hope originally when I first met you. But then when I hear from the men that I have created the biggest bond with and trust them with my life, and now you just tore that apart. You tear the families and the heart out of this department, and that's for all 4 of you right now. And you need to start owning up to that. I'm off this department, that's fine. But it does not mean that I'm not going to keep fighting for this department. I'm actually at a department where the commissioners break bread with me.
Yes.
They sit to dinner and they talk to me and they listen to me like a normal family does. They honor me. They appreciate me. Why can you not do that to the firefighters? Why can you not do that to the people?
Try.
No, you don't. You cannot try when you hide behind executive sessions. And per executive session, you're supposed to state exactly why you are and not so vague. You do not.
And you're supposed to give the minutes.
And the thing is you don't try when you sit there and say, I tried, but there's no action behind the door. There's no transparency. Because action days, you guys just bring it up to action days. You don't spread it out saying, this is what we're talking about. We're talking about hiring on new firefighters. Maybe we should get the public's opinion. Maybe we should get the public's opinion about working with Worley. That's supposed to be on here, and that's why we have those meetings. So the public could hear, so the public can create feedback. And you can listen or you can deny it, but the point is you're supposed to listen to the public, your constituents. The ones that are supposed to hire you, but
Public
it
is your
doesn't
boss.
happen when you're not hired.
Yeah,
You have to earn that seat. You have to earn the respect. This is your community. Doesn't mean you're out of the woods just because you live up on Cassandra Hills, just because you live in town, just because you live in Harrison. You are still part of this community, so act like a member instead of up here where you look down at your noses at us. This is all I've been fighting for.
And have any of you ever fought fire? Just out of curiosity, have any of you ever fought fire?
I've been a first responder, okay?
Have you fought fire?
We're asking.
I have not fought a fire, no.
You? Yeah.
I'm the one that put the gas pump in. It's our.
The gas station,
Because,
And the reason why.
and the only reason.
I volunteered fire department, and it was a Sunday afternoon, a beautiful Sunday, first one we had that year, I think. And I knew the fire department, being volunteer, they wouldn't be there within 10 or 15 minutes. That's why I drove across town and put it out. But, so we're lucky we have a volunteer group.
And this is why I asked.
Were you on the fire department at
No,
all?
I was.
This is why I asked that question, to see how many of you have actually put yourselves in that spot to actually listen to the firefighters and what their concerns are, because what I've seen with a couple of what I've actually seen with a couple of the meetings I've come to, you guys don't listen to the firefighters, you don't listen to their concerns, you shut us down. And I mean, it falls right back to you, and then to the chief, and then to the firefighters. That's the chain of command. And if you guys aren't leading by example, it's gonna fall apart. And you're seeing it right now. It fell apart. It fell apart with you right here at the beginning, and it may have been something small, and then to the chief. And then now the firefighters are paying for it. And you guys don't listen to the concerns.
And we have 2 families that paid for it.
Yep, correct. And again, I'm not trying to be abrasive, I'm just bringing up what I see. You know, I do this on a volunteer basis, I work in Shoshone County. And I was here on that fire, and it was a horrible scene. That was how it worked. I watched the whole thing go down. And it could have been so much different.
Yes.
Things could have been taken care of a lot different. We can't change it now, but we can move forward.
But we can look forward.
Exactly, and that's the thing, but we gotta be willing to listen to the public and the firefighters, especially the firefighters. You guys lost a huge bank of knowledge, huge. And which means,
But we gained it,
which means
so that's the blessing for our
this
side.
community lost
5 men who knew.
it. Fortunately for us,
Inside now.
in Fernwood, we gained this knowledge, and we're gonna utilize every single bit of it.
Almost, yes.
You wanted to talk to the next meeting, and I think that's.
Yes, I do. And so this is what I am going to throw out to you guys right now on public record, is within this next month, investigate what we've been talking about. Keep an open mind. Don't hold your own personal agendas to your thoughts. Take into consideration what everyone here has been saying. Because again, like I said, your volunteers are your heartbeat of this community. They are. And sometimes all of us have to suck it up when we do wrong. Trust me, I can be the most imperfect person in the world, and I have to go up to people and I have to apologize. Doesn't make me any less of a person, it actually makes me a better person.
Yes.
Because I know where my own shortfalls are and what I need to do to correct it. So sometimes we all have to suck it up and say, you know, hey, sorry. Even if we don't agree, can we at least agree to disagree and figure out how to solve this? And that's what I want to throw on y'all right now, is I will be back in a month, and I will be asking the same questions. And honestly, y'all don't want to give me enough a month to dig into these questions that I'm asking. Because, yeah, I've only been looking for, I'm sorry, like I said, I've had a day since I realized I was on the agenda. I've been gone for 5 days. And like I said, the information I found out in a half a day today, if I would have had it even 24 hours, y'all don't want to see that side.
Yeah.
I mean, because trust me, I would be like literally putting statutes and laws in your faces.
Thank
So
you.
I'm giving all of y'all a month to give us answers.
You
Because
did a great job.
this ends now.